I'd like to answer a question that was asked of me. Someone wanted to know, who are God's enemies? You see, someone wrote to me telling me that they had experienced and suffered from witchcraft, that their own family was involved in witchcraft and sorcery, and that they had been a victim of this witchcraft within their own family. They said that it had caused them so much harm, so much pain, that they began to harbor resentment, even hatred towards their family. But they said they found God's path, they discovered His word, and they think it's time to let go of the hatred and resentment. They asked if it's possible to pray for these people. So they want to know if these people are God's enemies, who are God's enemies, and if we should pray for God's enemies. So we want to clarify that these people who practice witchcraft and sorcery are people who are ignorant of God's path. They don't know that there is a perfect path that leads to salvation, a path of goodness, a path of righteousness, a path where we must do what is good and just to please the Lord. They are unaware of this, and that's why they live their lives causing harm, committing these evils against people through witchcraft, spells, and curses. We wouldn't necessarily consider them God's enemies, but rather people who, since they don't know God's path, are looking for an easy way to make money. And someone teaches them these wrong paths, and they follow the wrong path simply out of greed for money. God's enemies are those people who curse God, reject God, deny God's existence, get angry with God, want nothing to do with God, forbid their families from going to church, forbid and detest, saying, don't talk to me about that Bible because I hate the Bible, I hate everything that has to do with God. They get upset because perhaps a family member goes to church. So this person starts shouting and spewing a lot of words, a lot of insults, and curses against the Lord's work and His existence. Those are the people we would say are God's enemies. And also when we read the Psalms, we find that there were enemies of the Lord's enemies who were, it says it was His own people, His own brothers, who did not believe in Him and became enemies and handed Him over to the Romans to be sacrificed, to harm Him, to kill Him. So they became God's enemies by not believing the prophetic words that God had spoken through all the prophets in the past. So they didn't believe, but instead got angry and turned against the Lord. Those people are God's enemies. So if we're going to pray for them, I don't think so. There's a psalm that speaks clearly where the Lord instead asks for justice. He asks the Father for justice, saying that He should deal justice to His enemies, that these wicked people, because that's what they become, wicked people. And for these wicked people, the Lord asks for punishment. He doesn't pray for them, but asks for punishment, for God to do justice. That's the clarification. I hope it helps the person who asked. And I also advise them to read the Bible, to read the Psalms, because they will learn a lot of doctrine there. All right? May all honor be to our God, and we give thanks to the Lord.